Thank you for watching. My name is Ryan, and just a little bit about me and this rebranded channel. I have a degree in political science from Cal State Fullerton. I've worked in politics for the Republican Party. Ultimately, the highest that I got was the field director for the Congressional Leadership Fund a few years back here in Orange County, California. And I truly love this country. I truly love our system of government and the way that it's supposed to run. And I want to help Christians understand what that means, how it works, and how Christians should vote and respond to different things that our government is doing and that our politicians are doing. And I think number one, Christians need to respond to our government not by voting for perfect human beings, none of those exist, but by evaluating the different candidates that are on the ballot in your local area, your state, and nationally, and see which ones line up most with Christian values. And I think it's pretty clear in 2024 that just by default, a Republican is going to line up better with Christian values than a Democrat. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are today. It's not just about workers' rights versus corporations. It's not just about things where we can truly differ as Christians on those issues. I think that we need to go back to a discussion of what is this country founded on? Is this country founded on the president? Is it founded on Congress? Is it founded on the Supreme Court? And when they make rulings and when they make decisions, those are the final thing that is ultimately what's in charge? Or is our country founded on a document, that document being the Constitution of the United States of America? And what ultimately does that document say? And what does it mean for us to be bound by a document rather than by human rulers? So I don't believe personally that the president, that Congress, that the Supreme Court are actually the rulers of this land. And so as a Christian, when we're commanded to submit ourselves to the governing authorities, we are not bound to do whatever the president says. We are bound to do and hold that person to what the Constitution says. And so I think that as American citizens, but ultimately as Christians, we need to reevaluate those verses in light of the fact that we are all Caesar. Every citizen of the United States of America is the highest ruler of the land. We elect people to represent us, to do our will in Congress, to do our will as the president, and then they appoint the Supreme Court justices to determine whether or not what the other groups are doing is constitutional. We are all bound by this document. And so let's take COVID, for example. When the government starts going across the boundaries that have been set in place to protect us from the government, we need to hold those officials accountable to that document and look and tell clearly that they are going against what it says. And so we need to really start thinking about voting as Christians to uphold the true governing authority of this country, which is a document and not people. And so those churches, so those organizations that are telling Christians that we need to submit to the president or submit to Congress, I believe that is inaccurate. We need to be submitted to the Constitution of the United States, the document that our original rulers and George Washington and the Continental Congress, they could have gone a completely different way, but they decided to set up a system where we have freedoms, where we have rights that are protected by this piece of paper, by this document that we all agree to, and that we need to bind our rulers and our politicians to that document and make sure that they uphold it and that they faithfully execute it. And for hundreds of years, they have gone astray of that document. They've been trampling all over it in a lot of different ways, including Second Amendment rights, including our First Amendment rights. There's been many examples of First Amendment abuses, not just today, but historically. And ultimately, as Christians, we need to vote in such a way as to hold these people accountable to keeping that document the reigning law of the land and not going against it, not going outside of it, not going around it, not doing anything that puts it in jeopardy. And I believe that very clearly the Republican Party is more likely to uphold the Constitution, and the Democrat Party is far more likely to trample all over it and to go outside of the bounds of what it says and do things that I believe are unconstitutional, but also immoral and should be illegal. And so as Christians, we need to vote in such a way as to uphold the Constitution. That is the law that we live under. And so when the Bible says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar. Well, in this country, every single citizen of the United States is Caesar, and we need to give unto each other the rights and the privileges and everything that another American citizen is due, and we need to vote in such a way as to make sure that our politicians don't go against those rights, don't fundamentally trample all over them. And so that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few months, is trying to educate Christians as to who and what our government is, and how I think that it should be operated, and what I believe Christians should do as citizens of the United States, because it's not very clearly laid out in the Bible what exactly we should do when we are beholden to a document and not to a dictatorial ruler. So stay tuned. I hope that you have a lot of comments in the video for me. I want to try to reply to as many of them as I can, and I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes, and so I hope that you guys all double check everything that I do and make sure that it stays true to the Bible ultimately, but also to the Constitution, and that what I'm saying actually makes sense. So please just call me out if I need to be called out, and I hope that you guys are all ready for the journey. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.